You have been taught that the people who pull back emotionally are cold, detached, closed off, weakness dressed up as wisdom. But there is a different kind of detachment, one where the strongest people are the ones who feel the most. Ancient China spent 2,000 years studying it, and the door into it is smaller than you think. In a small town by a river, there lived a scholar named Han Wei. He was known as the Calm One. When others argued, he did not join. When others mourned, he kept his composure. He had not always been this way. There had been someone once. He had not spoken of it since. In the years after, he had practiced the art of not being moved. Quietly, he believed he had finally succeeded. One spring, an old woman from his village died. She had known him since he was a child. At her funeral, Han Wei noticed his own stillness and felt something almost like pride. He stood at the edge of the gathering, steady while others wept. "This is what I have built," he thought. Walking home, he passed an old Daoist teacher on the road, a man he had seen for years but never spoken to. The teacher glanced at him once and said only this: "You do not mourn her because you never let yourself belong to her." Han Wei tried to dismiss it. He could not. He went home and returned to his routines. Reading, walking. He told himself the old woman meant nothing to him. He told himself the teacher was wrong. But the words would not leave. They surfaced when he passed her empty house. When he heard someone in the village laugh, and realized he could not remember the last time he had laughed that way. When he looked at the river outside his window and saw it moving, while he sat very still. His detachment, once it cracked, did not feel like peace anymore. It felt like something colder. Han Wei went looking for the teacher, found him by the river, demanded to know what he had meant. The teacher pointed at a flat stone in the shallows, the water parting around it. "The stone does not move," he said, "and you have admired the stone your whole life. You thought, this is strength." He turned, but the stone is not free, it is only hard. He gestured downstream at a thin reed bending with the current. "That is what you have been avoiding, not weakness, the willingness to be moved." This is what the Daoist tradition calls Ziran. It means self-so, naturalness. Most people translate it as going with the flow. That is the surface. The deeper meaning is harder. The Stoics called it apatheia, the elimination of passion. The Daoists disagreed. Ziran is not becoming unmoved. It is being so rooted in your own nature that feeling passes through you without moving you off center. You do not detach from people. You attach to your own ground. And from that ground, real contact becomes possible. What Han Wei had built was not Ziran. It was armor. That evening, he went to the old woman's house. He stood at her door and waited. "The armor is gone now," he told himself. "Feel it." Nothing came. Not grief, not regret. Not even the shape of what grief might feel like. He had spent 20 years building the wall. He did not know what was on the other side of it anymore. He sat down in the road outside her door. He did not leave until the moon rose. The next day, he walked slowly past the house again. There was a plum tree she had planted decades before he was born. He did not stop. He did not try. But the wind moved the branches, and he slowed. He stood beneath it without intention, without the goal of feeling anything at all. And then, without his doing, something rose in his chest. Not the grief he had tried to produce. Something truer underneath. Regret. For all the years he had stood beside her and never really been there. He stayed under the tree until the sun set. Months passed. Han Wei was still quiet. People still came to him for counsel. When a young man wept in his presence, Han Wei did not hold his face still. He let it move. Then, slowly, he returned to his own center. One afternoon, the old teacher passed him on the road again, nodded once. "Before, you did not let yourself belong to anyone," he said. "Now you belong to yourself, which means you can finally belong to others." Han Wei heard the words differently this time. What most people call detachment is only distance from their own fear. Real strength is not the absence of feeling. It is the ground underneath it. The people who look unshaken are not closed off. They are so rooted in themselves that other people's storms no longer move them off their ground. 1. Notice one moment today when you pulled away from a feeling instead of letting it pass through. 2. Stand somewhere outside and stop trying to feel anything. Let what arrives, arrive. 3. Tell one person something honest you have been holding back. When have you mistaken distance for strength? Tell me below. Thank you for watching. Somewhere, a thin reed was bending in the current. It bent fully. It did not break. When the current passed, it returned to itself. Not unchanged, but still standing.